Hello you wonderful people out there, and welcome to this new guide video on my channel. Well, what a surprise! It's not on a different channel. Woohoo! Welcome to offerings and which one you shouldn't use. A simple explanation why I'm doing this video. I see a lot of killers and also survivors that bring offerings that are a huge disadvantage for them. Not for the killer, not for the survivor respectively, but for them personally. So let's talk about some offerings that are really bad as a killer and as a survivor. One thing to clarify first though, there are offerings that are 100% positive for you. That are, for example, Bloodpoint offerings, or sometimes map offerings, or White Ward respective Black Ward to keep your items or your add-ons. There are also offerings that can be like a coin flip 50-50, like they can be good, they can be terrible, depending on you, depending on your team, depending on if it's a map offering, whatever. And then there are offerings that are super terrible in like 98% of the time. Why did I speak so slow right now? I have no idea. Today I'm focusing on the offerings that are 100 or almost 100% negative, and I will explain why I think they're 100% negative. If you see that different, please leave a comment. First of all, we start on killer obviously, and second of all, we start on the regents. There are 4 regent: Faint, Hazy, Murky, respectively adding the 25, 50 and 75% to the fog, and they stack obviously, as the description says, so you can add that up or down to a certain number. Why shouldn't you use the Faint, Hazy and Murky regent now as a killer? First of all, you can't see as much if there is too much fog, especially if the survivors also bring them. This usually puts you at a disadvantage because you maybe can't see survivors working in a gen in the distance. You maybe miss crows, or you maybe think there's a crow starting because the survivor disturbed it, but it actually was a bit of fog. It's super weird, it's super difficult to say sometimes, but usually as a killer they bring a disadvantage to you. The only exception for regents are usually stealth killers, where you should bring or could bring a Faint, Hazy or Murky regent to add some additional fog to the game, because you can't be seen as easy as on the normal circumstances. If you don't get your head too foggy because of these, please also don't bring the Shroud of Separation. Why shouldn't you bring the Shroud of Separation? The survivors are split all over the map, and that puts you in a huge disadvantage because you can only pressure one survivor at a time because they all spawn separately. Imagine this scenario: you have 4 survivors spawn in 4 different corners, you go for one, and the other 3, if they are not stupid and just work on the gens, especially if they are on comms, as long as you chase that single survivor, the other 3 can do a gen each. So as soon as you chase that one survivor down, if you're not super fast, 3 gens will pop around you and you are at a huge disadvantage and the game is basically over. Please try to avoid Shroud of Separation and the Faint, Hazy and Murky regent. They will put you as a killer in a huge disadvantage. On the other hand, the clear regent as a killer won't do much for you, so I wouldn't specifically tell it here, but it's also not negative, so yeah. Let's go over to survivor. Now, what are the offerings that you shouldn't bring as a survivor? In the first place, the clear regent. It gives the killer more visibility. It even helps him to spot even farther, especially on PC. I don't know exactly how this works in consoles, but it's definitely a disadvantage for you because the killer can see more stuff. And you can also sabotage your teammates if they bring a Faint or Hazy regent or a Murky regent. Also, the clear regent reduces 50%, so the Hazy and the clear regent cancel each other out. So yeah, just don't bring it, please. The next offerings that you shouldn't bring as a survivor are the shrouds. Vigor's Shroud, Shroud of Union and Shroud of Binding. Shroud of Binding explains itself, I guess, from the Shroud of Separation, because it's the exact opposite. Instead of you spawn all scattered over the place, you spawn all together, which makes it easier for the killer to actually chase you because you're all at one place. So if the killer finds you, he can just down all 4 if he's good. So it puts you at a huge disadvantage. You especially don't want that against the Boba, for example, that can insta down you, or some killers that have lethal add-ons like Trickster right now until he gets reworked, or Huntress with the headshot, iridescent head. Maybe avoid that. Same goes for the Shroud of Union, but a little bit less. But to explain that a little bit in detail, I need to explain the combination of the 3. There are 3 hidden offerings as a survivor: Vigor's Shroud, Shroud of Union, Shroud of Binding. There is no other. If you bring one of these three, a somewhat decent killer after a few hundred hours will be able to tell you 100% which offering you brought, simply because of the fact where he spawns and which map it is. Let me explain. If you bring Vigo's Shroud, in 98% of the time you spawn in a corner as the killer. So as soon as you spawn in a corner and you had a hidden offering in the loading screen, you know for pretty sure that it's Vigo's Shroud. And somebody spawned on the other end of the map, while all other survivors spawn in the normal circle around the killer. So you're not only giving information to the killer, you also sell out your teammates. Not good. Second, there are only very few maps that are big enough that you don't spawn in a corner 100% of the time, because the maximum spawn range is a certain range. One of them, for example, is Mother's Dwelling in Red Forest, but these will be smaller in a few days, so there are not many maps where you can use this efficiently. Next one is Shroud of Union and Shroud of Binding together. If you have a hidden offering and you're spawned, for example, in the middle of the map, you know for a fact that it's one of these two, and then you just need to figure out which one it is. If the killer has Lethal Pursuer or Darkness Revealed and the survivor spawn next to a locker, you can pretty much tell kinda soon which one it is. No matter which of these offerings you bring, you give the killer information about the spawn locations. And that's terrible. You don't want to give them any information at best, so please try to avoid these. The last offerings I wouldn't bring as a survivor are Hedge offerings, Annotated Blueprint and Vigo's Blueprint. Why? Because simply you tell the killer that, hey, go there for the last survivor to close Hedge or catch them or whatever. It's super, super, super dangerous to bring these as a survivor. Almost as stupid as killer, but it's not 100% negative, so I didn't bring them up there. Hedge offerings as survivor can backfire a lot. If you need a hedge escape for Tome or so, maybe leave a perk slot for Clairvoyance or Left Behind. It's a lot better than using these offerings. Alright, that's it already. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a like and maybe subscribe to the channel. Also, thanks for watching. If you think somebody else should see this video, please please share it. Please don't hesitate. I would really appreciate that. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves.